I never thought I'd be talking about this kind of thing on the internet, so let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and if you are new here, welcome. I hope you subscribe and like the video and let me know you're new here. Comment down below if this is the first you're seeing of me, but if you are one of my old subscribers, you guys may have noticed there is some changes that have happened to the YouTube channel, and I actually am super excited about them. So today we're going to be diving into magical names and what they're for and why you may or may not want one, and the changes that I have made to this channel as well as my entire online presence, and kind of a little bit of background behind my magical name and my journey on finding what that name is for myself. I never thought I'd be talking about this kind of thing on the internet, so let's get into it. So if you guys have seen any of my previous videos that have precursed this video, or have any type of binging into my channel whatsoever, you would know that I would have gone by Desi when I first started this channel. Now that is my actual name. It's part of my full name. It's not my entire name, but it's part of my name that has been shortened. It's my nickname, and I wanted something that was short and sweet and that could be easily remembered when I first started YouTube. And how much easier is it then to go by your actual given name? But as things have gone forward and YouTube has become a little bit more serious for me, and something that I really do want to dive into as a career, as a path to launch a career in the spiritual realm, then I have now decided that I want something that will give me a little bit of separation from my everyday life and my spiritual journey, because that's really what this is a personification of my spiritual path and my spiritual journey and the things that I am learning while I'm on my pagan and witchy path, and I'm sharing it with all of you guys, and also trying to be a teacher in the areas that I am knowledgeable in. And for me, that seemed like a new path that I'm walking, something much different than in my everyday life, and I felt like for me it deserved a different name. Now, I've always wanted to name myself. I always thought that would be such a cool thing to do, is to be able to name yourself, and I found it very empowering when I saw other people being able to do that for themselves. And with great thought and a lot of experimenting, I found a name that works for me. Now, what is a spiritual name? Now, a spiritual name is something that you name yourself to give yourself a little bit of space between your mundane life and your spiritual one. It is something that you can use if you're in a coven and you don't want your coven members to know your legal name, or if you just want a little bit of a barrier between the mundane world and the spiritual one. If you're starting a new path, a lot of people in a lot of different cultures are given a name from either their coven mates or high priests or priestesses that they trust and really value their input on, and it's something that's very sacred, and they use that in their spiritual practices. Now, for me, I didn't have a coven or anything like that to go and reach out to, so for myself, I decided I wanted to take the power into myself and name myself. So, from now on, please refer to me as Rhiannon, or Rhiannon Harvest if you must use my full name. I decided that I wanted to have something that correlated from my Celtic and Irish-Scottish history, and I took the name of the goddess Rhiannon, and I matched that up with the last name Harvest. Now, harvest for me has always been an idea of abundance, reaping the harvest of the hard work from the year prior. It's an abundant word for me. It is also something that usually happens, the last harvest in autumn is always the most magical for me, and it's something that I feel like will always grow with me. So going forward, please refer to me as Rhiannon, and I hope to continue this journey with you guys, and I hope you will respect my wishes and just call me by that, because that's what I'll be answering to. And it's just something that makes me feel more safe in the community, because as I become a little bit more ingrained in the YouTube community and online and wanting to build a community with you guys, I do want to protect my outside life as well, and I don't want people to be able to find me through my information that I have online. So over time, those videos will be slowly phased out and be replaced with updated videos, but for now, and it's not going to happen anytime soon, so don't worry, because I'm not super worried about it, as it's not my full name, and legally my last name that I provided before wasn't my name at all. So I'm not super worried with that, but over time those videos will be updated and improved upon, and I'll be using this name to go forward with. Now, how do you go about creating a magical name for yourself? What I did was I took all the different things that I have an affinity to, all the things that I feel very connected to, and I brain dumped a bunch of different words and phrases and song lyrics that I love. I almost went with lyric as a name for a long time, because music is my first love when it comes to anything magical. But as a second to that is I love fire. Fire is the element that I most relate to and work with the most. And I was going to correlate something that had to do with fire and then something to do with the fae. And I really couldn't marry anything together that didn't sound too fantastical, that didn't sound like a fantasy. And I wanted something that sounded like a real name. So as I dug deeper and deeper and deeper, I had like Ember and Roisin, I think, was another name, which is an Irish name, and I had a few different other ones, and I couldn't really marry them, and I didn't want something that was too difficult for most people to pronounce or understand. And I always loved the name Rhiannon, and I know many different Rhiannas throughout the world, and I didn't want to take that name, but I did want something that sounded like that had the R name, and kind of related to Aphrodite. As many of you may know, I work very closely with Aphrodite. I have since the very beginning of my practice, but I wanted to move and scale my practices closer to Celtic paganism and reconstructionism of Irish and Celtic paganism. So with that, I wanted to marry a name from my Celtic pantheons. So Rhiannon is very closely correlated to Aphrodite as a counterpart. And for me, I related to that version of Aphrodite in my cultural sense. So I wanted to take that name, and I took that as my first name, and then Harvest was my last name, because that was my favorite time of year, when the autumn harvest happens and the world is golden and orange and red and is really rich with abundance and prosperity. And the idea of a harvest, a gathering of people and having a feast, is so beautiful to me. So for me, I wanted to couple those together, and Rhiannon Harvest sounded the most beautiful to me. And that's how I came up with my name. Really, is what I did is just brain dumped a bunch of different words and phrases and names that meant things that I really related to, like fire or water or fairy, and came up with a bunch of names and read some of the folklore and the legends behind them. And then I took a few days, and then I brain dumped again, and I made a short list, and then I tried to combine a bunch of the different names together and seeing what sounded the best together, and that's how I came up with my new spiritual name. Now, this is the name that I will have online only. I do have another name that I have, and only my spiritual guide knows this name and myself, and I will not be sharing that name, and please don't ask because I won't do it. It's something that's the name that has power for me. So magically speaking, if someone knew this name, they would have a lot of power over me and could create a lot of havoc in my life. So that name I will not share. Regardless, I will not give hints, so don't ask. But yeah, I have two spiritual names, and basically you can have one that you share and one that you don't share. And for me, I found it was really important now because I need that liminal space between this world that I have in my everyday life and the one I'm creating with you guys. I find it's another world entirely, and it's super important for me to create that safe space for myself. So I want to know you guys' thoughts. Do you think that a magical name is important? Do you have one? Do you want one? What are the things that you want to include in your magical name? Do you like fire, like elements? Are you going to be using colors or gods or goddesses and use those as a source of inspiration? I would love to know what your source of inspiration is for your magical name. Definitely give this video a big thumbs up. It lets me know that you enjoyed this content, and subscribe to the channel if you're not yet already subscribed, and definitely share this video to your other pagan and spiritual friends and witchy curious people. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video next week. Much love and stay wicked.